Hello and welcome to my Module 1 reflection. I'm going to be reflecting on the documentary Spectrum, A Story of the Mind. A couple of reasons why I did choose this documentary to watch and kind of reflect on is number one, when I was an undergrad in college, I actually had the pleasure of watching a talk that Temple Grandin did at our university, and I actually got to meet her afterwards. So being able to pull in those personal connections that I got to have with Temple Grandin to this, I thought was pretty special. And number two, I have a connection with the autism spectrum and with sensory overloads and things, both personally, professionally, and educationally. Obviously, one, I am getting my master's degree in special education, and I work with a lot of SPED students. I have a lot of SPED students on my caseload who do have autism, so I work with them in a huge realm every single day. And I also have a little nephew who was recently diagnosed with autism that we suspected actually, by the time he was less than a year old. So I get to see that on, a personal level with my family in the classroom, as well as I'm learning more and more about it in my studies. So a cool thing about this documentary that I find fascinating, and it just, makes my mind soar, is just the huge spectrum of sensory, no people with autism are the same. They experience a tremendously different amount of sensory overloads, whether it be, like Temple Grandin said, with scratchy clothes or the ringing of a bell. I have a student who the bell at school doesn't bother him, but if the fire alarm goes off, that's a whole nother story. I have a student who loud noises do not bother him at all. It's more seeing and colors that overloads him. And then I have another one that he can hear all the loud screaming noises possible, but you get him in a small room or in the cafeteria or any room with a crowded area with lots of people talking at once, he gets a sensory overload. So I feel like number one, in my classroom and in my profession, as I want to be a SPED teacher for the rest of my life. And I think it is the most important part of my job is getting to know those students on a personal level, understanding what triggers them, what sets them off, what sensory things help them, calm them, make them be able to learn. I have these ball chairs that I use in my classroom for those that need to be moving to learn, and they just bounce on those ball chairs while they're learning, and it like clicks to them. But you set them in a regular chair and they can't learn. But I think it is super important to learn those different triggers and those different outcomes and those different things that can help a student be more productive and learn. And I'm not gonna lie, I learn so much from these students. I think it's amazing. Technology is something that's kind of like a sensory outlet to one of my students. And we do robotics, and my student, whenever he's having a hard day, he's overloaded, I hand him one of those robots and he can do the most amazing things with it, without me directing him, without him, needing any assistance. He can go and he can move cans and he can move it through obstacle courses on his own. It's just kind of his outlet and his way to express himself and to get rid of some of that sensory overload that he has on a daily basis. So I think that's huge, and that's something that I take away not only from this documentary, but also, just observing students with autism in general. There was a wide range of students in the documentary, whether it be painting, martial arts, the jungle gym at the Big Fun occupational therapy center. They all have their own way of outletting that sensory overload, and I think that's huge. I'm in a middle school setting. I think it's huge to learn that here at a young age and learn what helps them, to help them, with the rest of their life, going into high school, what is going to help them there, then transitioning into life, just getting to know what helps that individual student, I think, is huge to me. And that's the biggest takeaway that I found from this documentary is, letting them express themselves and what's best for them. And, you can't stereotype a student with autism because they are so unique. And I think that's why I enjoy my job so much, is just getting to know those students, getting to know what helps them, getting to know what sensory things. It just amazes me every day to get to see that, and the different things that they can do and they can learn. So yeah, that is my reflection of this module, and I look forward to learning more and more.